On January 10, 2015, Boomerang at the Chilean park Fantasialandia was operating normally. Around 9 p.m., the ride was completing its normal cycle with a train nearly full of riders. As the train detached from Lift 2, the brakes located at the base of Lift 2 were closed by the ride's safety system, likely due to an unrelated fault. The train descended Lift 2 and slammed into the closed brakes. 6 of the 7 cars slammed to a stop as intended. The 7th and last car on the train detached from the rest of the train as it decelerated and continued into the rest of the ride layout on its own, eventually stopping hard in the station. All riders walked away unharmed but were very shaken. Shockingly, this entire incident was filmed by a rider in the 7th car. The investigation would begin immediately, with the park's owners calling the ride's manufacturer, Vekoma of the Netherlands, out to inspect their ride. Additionally, the Chilean government would send their own inspection team, who would also order the ride closed until further notice. Unfortunately, the results of their investigation would never be released publicly. However, we do have documentation regarding changes at the park and in the country after this accident, as well as the manuals and service bulletins from Vekoma from both before and after the accident. From these sources, we can learn more about what likely happened. Boomerang was installed at the park as the park's first major roller coaster in 1996. It is one of Vekoma's very popular Boomerang coaster models, with over 50 such coasters installed worldwide. The ride consists of a station area with friction brakes, the first lift hill with a cable lift system, a boomerang element, a looping element, and a second lift hill using a raisable chain lift. In between the second lift hill and the looping element sits a set of friction brakes intended to catch the train if it were to ever fail to engage with the second lift or to stop the train in the case of an emergency. The ride also featured catwalks along both lift hills next to the brakes near Lift 2 and in the middle of the boomerang element, all places where the train could potentially stop. The ride had operated without any major incidents prior to this one. The ride used a single train with 7 cars. Each car was attached to each other using a hitch assembly that was similar to the design used on many other roller coasters. The same trains were used on several other roller coasters made by Vekoma. In the time since the ride had opened, there had been an incident involving the hitch area on a different Boomerang coaster. In a service bulletin dated August 12, 2004, Vekoma notified all operators of this train design that a crack had occurred on the main axle of a car where the hitch connected. Vekoma advised that all owners should follow existing guidance in their manual about when to inspect these areas on the axle. Additionally, they advised that if these areas were painted, they should be painted with a brittle paint so that any cracks were clearly visible. A later service bulletin, dated February 12, 2018, details how cracks were found on some rides at the point where the axle assembly attached to the rest of the train's chassis. However, it's unlikely that this is related to the accident in this video, as it's over 2 years more recent and we are lucky enough to have some detailed photos from after the accident. In these photos, we can see that the connection between the axle and the train is intact on both cars. We can also see that the shaft connecting the 2 cars is completely detached from car 6 and remains attached to car 7, the one that broke free. This could only be possible in 2 ways. The first is if there had been some kind of total mechanical failure that caused the area the shaft was inserted to expand, allowing the rod to break free. Similar, but more severe to what was noticed on the Boomerang in 2004. Alternatively, the securing nut attached to the rod could have came loose. When looking at the photo from after the accident, the securing nut is not present anywhere in the photo. Additionally, the attachment point for the shaft does not appear to have any significant damage. This all points to the nut that secured the car to car 6 coming loose, allowing the train to break completely free. In this photo, we can also see the safety wires. These are common on rides and exist to prevent exactly the kind of catastrophic failure that occurred in this accident. They work by securing 2 cars of a train at a separate attachment point from the main spindle, usually with 1 or more small steel cables. In the photo, we can see that they do not appear to have any significant damage, despite the force they would have had to endure if they remained attached. Much like the shaft, they are fully attached to car 7. In the photos, we can see that their attachment points on car 6 seem to be missing the nuts that were in place to secure the wires to the car. Our final piece of evidence once again comes from a service bulletin. Vekoma issued a service bulletin sometime shortly after this accident, detailing an improved method for securing KM locking nuts and MB locking washers. These are common mechanical devices used to create a nut connection that is resistant to vibrations. They work by having a slotted nut secured by a washer with metal tags that stick through the holes in the nut. Looking back at the 2004 service bulletin, we can see a KM nut and MB washer securing the safety wire on the ride involved in that incident. It's likely a similar setup was used for securing the shaft to cars on the main train, as this is a very common way of securing rotating devices that are subject to vibrations. The service bulletin recommends securing these in a redundant way where possible. This suggests that there had been some kind of failure of the original design under specific circumstances. As we don't have an official report to gather any more information, that is the limit of what we can reliably say about what happened and why. The reason for these bolts not being secure could be just about anything, but it's interesting to note that the accident happened near park closing time, meaning the ride had operated properly for over 8 hours that day before the accident happened. We do thankfully have lots of information about what happened after the accident. Fantasialandia took immediate action after the accident. They purchased an all-new modern train from Vekoma for the ride itself. Additionally, they created several new positions at the park to help predict failures before they happened on all rides. The accident caused waves in the country, especially since the park was located in the capital of Santiago and was a well-known and highly visited park. Accordingly, the national government moved quickly to improve their regulation on amusement rides. By the end of the year, they had adopted 2 of the ASTM standards for amusement rides into law. They also added references to 5 other ASTM standards. The wholly adopted standards are F770, Standard Practice for Ownership, Operation, Maintenance, and Inspection of Amusement Rides and Devices, and F853, Standard Practice for Maintenance Procedures for Amusement Rides and Devices. By adopting these international standards, Chile has created a safer environment at their amusement parks and attractions. These standards are created by amusement ride professionals from all over the world. They are comprehensive while still being logical. If you'd like to learn more, I have made a video covering some of them that is linked below. All rides in the park have operated without any major incidents since this accident. Today, the Boomerang continues to operate with its new train safely, with the lessons learned from this accident still being put into practice today. Thanks for watching this video. As always, if you'd like to read any of the service bulletins or sources I used for this video, they are linked below. If you enjoyed this video, please like and subscribe so that these educational videos continue to be pushed by the YouTube algorithm. As always, thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.